will not let you get away with this. I got the book here. I have your name there behind me.
This will be over when every single one of these despicable people have been held accountable, possibly even have stood trial in a court of law.
We staan op het kruispunt van onze geschiedenis als het gaat om onze democratie en vrijheid. Aldus de organisatie van het congres The Future is Ours. En om daar inzicht in te verschaffen deden Jeroen van Manen, Arno Wellens, Theo Schetters en Matthias de Smet hun betoog. Samen met een in het oog springende spreker in het bijzonder, EU-parlementslid voor het Duitse AFD, Christine Anderson.
This place is not a parliament. It is the biggest nut asylum in the entire world. They're not. No.
Ms. Anderson, welcome. First time in the Netherlands?
No, not my first time, but I've never been to Zwolle, so yeah.
The conference is The Future is Ours. Who is ours?
Well, ours means all the people around the world in their respective countries, because democracy is actually the rule by the people, of the people, for the people, right? Government by the people, for the people, of the people, and that's what ours means in that context. So yeah, and the future will be ours, trust me.
Trust me, yeah?
Yeah.
It is not?
No, it will be. I mean...
Why is it not?
Well, if it were up to the globalitarian misanthropists, that's what I, call whoever is calling the shots. If it were up to them, it would be a government by the globalitarian misanthropists, for them and by them and of them. But democracy, like I said, it's government by the people, of the people, and for the people. So here we are.
You've heard earlier, 2 Canadian freedom truckers, Chris Barber and Harold Jonker. And I really have to say, to this day, I am absolutely incapable of listening to what they went through, to what they had to endure, the trauma that was caused by the despicable Canadian government. To this day, I am not capable of listening to their accounts without tearing up. And I would like you, please, to join me in giving the Canadian freedom truckers once again a big round of applause because they deserve it. But it's also great because the Dutch farmers kind of picked up and continued what they started all the way over the ocean in Canada. And that inspired, as I said earlier, so many around all the member states in Europe. And we had the farmer protests. And this is a good sign.
In your speech you mentioned we have to prevail. What do we have to prevail?
Well, the people have to prevail in their strive for maintaining freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. And if the people did not prevail, then that would actually mean the end of democracy.
Yeah. Is it the people or is it a minority?
No, it's the people. As you look, the people in each and every national state, they actually hold the power over their government. They're the bosses, right? But now it's kind of like they switched that around, and a lot of people have now come to believe that the government gets to dictate to people what their will is supposed to be, and this is simply not the case. If you look at democracy, it's the people. The people are calling the shots. The people are the boss.
But to make sure that we are going to prevail in the end, I would like to talk to you about things that I need the people to do, that the world needs the people to do. Let me give you some tips as to how we can assure that the people will prevail in the end. Number one, the first couple of things are rather no-brainers. Number one, turn off your fucking television set. Be done with it. And never turn it back on again. And you're not going to miss anything either, by the way. Yeah. Anything happening, you'll find out. Trust me. Turn it off. That's it. Very simple. Also, diversify your sources. Read whatever you can lay your fingers on. As Denzel Washington once said, and it was, I think, 20 years ago, he was that astute back then. He said, "He who does not read the newspaper is uninformed. And he who reads the newspaper is misinformed and disinformed." So diversify your sources. By the way, you might have followed that. The United States, they are now working on banning TikTok. You heard that? I'm not a fan of TikTok, by no means. But if the US government wants to ban it, you bet. Now I'm on TikTok. Now I'm watching it. Number two, obviously you question everything your government is doing or saying or not doing or not saying. That, by the way, is one of the principles of how democracy works. The critical citizen. Of course you question everything they're trying to tell you. And do not only question and mistrust your government, most of all, you need to distrust the EU Commission. It's a hellhole. It's the headquarters of spreading fake news and disinformation. Disgusting. Number three, stop voting for the same idiots that got you in this place in the first place. Don't vote for them anymore. Because you might have noticed the ones that have been trying to convince you to, know everything about this novel virus and how to fight it are the same ones that are now trying to tell you we're all gonna die of climate change. Yeah. No, we're not. We are not. It's ridiculous what they're doing. This is just another scheme of getting as much money away from the taxpayers as possible, and once again, pumping it into globally acting corporations. That's what this is all about. On top of all of that, they want to get rid of your individual mobilities. They're coming after your cars and all of that. But nothing what they tell us we need to do to save the planet will actually save the planet, because it's ridiculous. But it will abolish freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. So please stop voting for the same parties and the same persons and the same people that got us in this mess in the first place. They're liars and they need to be run out in town.
So what's the point of this event? Do you think you can get to an agreement with everybody on that point?
Well, no, you never get an agreement, on anything with everyone. But that's what democracy is all about. It's the rule by the majority, right? Whatever the majority wants is kind of like, what you will do. So obviously you always have protective measures for the minority opinion, but even that is no longer a guarantee.
Yeah,
so,
but the majority can create a minority, right?
I'm sorry, say again?
The majority can create a minority, right?
Oh, well, yeah, that's kind of like the thing. Either it's the majority and then you have a minority. You will never get, 100% of all the people behind, whatever issue. So, but once the majority decided on something, right, that's the way you will go. But there's protective measures to also include the minority, to get them heard, they can participate in the debate. But we're not even seeing that anymore, because now what we have is pretty much, there is, by numbers, there is a majority as they are represented in the parliament, but they're being ostracized, they're being shut down. So, and that has nothing to do with democracy, and that's actually scary.
Number 4, build a global network. It's not just happening in Germany or Italy or Spain or UK or Canada or the United States or Australia. It is happening in every single Western democracy. Since they're all in lockstep about abolishing freedom, democracy, and the rule of law, and making you nothing but underlings and peasants that just have to do whatever they're being told. Since this is happening in every single Western democracy, who do you think is going to step in? Who do you think is going to bail you out? Telling you, no one. This time around, there isn't going to be anyone coming. It's not going to be China. It's not going to be North Korea. And quite frankly, it's not going to be Russia either. No one will come, ladies and gentlemen. So, it's up to us, the people. We need to fight this together. And that's why we need to build a global network. Because we are so much more. And we are even way more than the ridiculous puppets. They call themselves like prime ministers and presidents and stuff like that. They're puppets. So we are in this together. We need to stick together, and we need to fight them.
The people need to realize we are actually standing to lose everything that our fathers and forefathers literally spilled their blood over to ensure that we would be able to live in freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. And this is being threatened right now. So the people need to work together to fight their individual governments, but also pull together and make themselves heard. And it's so much easier if you're, I don't know, like 1 million, 2 million, 50 million, 60 million, 100 million, then you will be heard. They can no longer ignore that. So we are all sitting in the same boat at this point, especially in the Western democracies. And I'm really imploring the people, they need to globally, connect. And because, like I said, we're fighting the same fight.
Number 5, what can you do? What we've experienced in the last 4 years, actually, that unprecedented grab of our fundamental rights, of everything we in the Western democracies actually believed in. And we need to make sure that we will never forget what they did to us. And I would like to talk to you about a project that a few very brave people started in Germany. This is a book, and the title of this book is I Participated. And what this is, it's an archive of every despicable, ostracizing, discriminating, criminalizing, stigmatizing thing any politician, any journalist, and any member of the higher society ever said about the so-called unvaccinated. Yeah. The thing is this, that started out as a website. Now, as you can imagine, they took that website down so many times. So they built a new one, and a new one, and a new one, and a new one. And it's really quite clever. The German title of their website is Ich habe mitgemacht.de. And if you go to their website, you can filter it by the person's name, what person said what, by date, and by subject. And this is so brilliant. And I decided to actually get the book to make sure that I will never forget, and also not allow any of these despicable and disgusting politicians to get away with claiming, well, I never said anything. I was always on your side, because that's what they're doing right now, isn't it? Yeah. No, we will not let you get away with this. I got the book here. I have your name there behind you.
What would you say to the people that say, okay, you're talking about freedom. I have my freedom. I have the right to vote. I have the right to buy whatever I want. Why should they be concerned?
Well, just look at, what are your freedoms worth? Just look at the last 3 years, There was a point in time, at least in Germany, that were curfews imposed. So you were not allowed to leave your house after 9 p.m. And if it was even for taking a walk all by yourself in a forest. I mean, this is ridiculous. I'm not allowed to leave my house now, for some ridiculous notion there is this deadly virus going on. No, this massive infringement on fundamental rights. That was actually like a test balloon. They were trying to see how far they could go infringement when it comes to infringement on fundamental rights, and they also wanted to see what they had to do to get people to just comply.
Yeah. But that's behind us. So what's in the future? What's next?
Well, no, it's not behind us. I beg to differ. This pandemic is not over until every single politician, every single elected representative, and every single one responsible for these draconian restrictions that have been imposed on the people has been held accountable. And this will not be over until every single scientist, every single doctor, every single healthcare worker has been exonerated and rehabilitated from having pulled their license and all of that. This will be over when every single one of these despicable people have been held accountable, possibly even have stood trial in a court of law.
Number 6, don't use their language. Don't repeat their euphemisms. They're trying to gaslight you by coming up with these great names. For example, the Free Media Act. That's a great word, isn't it? Well, who doesn't want the media to be free? Right? Who's going to say, no, we don't want freedom of the press? No one is going to say that. But that's that was just voted on last week in Strasbourg. And the name is great, but once you look into that piece of legislation, it's all about censorship. So whenever they're talking about the Media Freedom Act, we should actually talk about the Media Censorship Act, because that's what it is. Another example, these 15-minute ghettos. Right? They're calling them 15-minute cities. Don't use that word. Use 15-minute ghettos, because that's what they're going to be. Once again, under pretext of improving the quality of your life, to make your life, easier, more convenient. And by the way, we're also saving the planet by having these 15-minute ghettos. No, it's not about that. It has nothing to do with improving the quality of your life. It has nothing to do with making your life easier. It has nothing to do with saving the planet. Because if it was about improving the quality of your life, you kind of think they would start out by building leisure centers, schools, doctor's offices, parks. They would start with that, wouldn't they? But what are they doing? They start by erecting barricades and installing surveillance cameras. Now, why would you need that in a neighborhood that you're dying to live in? Right? Why would they? Don't fall for the euphemisms and do not use them. Come up with other words, but do not repeat their language. Because as we know, language kind of predetermines your thinking. So don't use their language. Number 7, break the silence. Stop being silent, because that's part of their game. So, what you can do is start conversations with people. Like when you're out shopping, you know, just make a comment that, you know, kind of just maybe price, or when you stand in the cash register, just start, you know, just make a comment, but leave it at that. Do not overwhelm the people, because you do not know at what stage they're at. So if they have, you know, just this kind of weird feeling, you know, and you just make a comment, maybe they go home and think about what you said. So don't overwhelm them. If they come to their own conclusion, it is way more effective than being told by someone else what the conclusion should be. Just make a comment. Just make a comment. What I have come to find out to be very interesting and effective, wear T-shirts that have something written on it. You can, you know, make them yourselves in some website or whatever, you know, T-shirt factory, whatever, you know, just put a slogan or something on there. So the very first T-shirt I had made, it read, mRNA shot, my body, my choice, right? And I was like, and all I did, I wore this T-shirt while grocery shopping. And I didn't walk around and, well, look what I have here. No, I just wore it and minded my own business, you know. But it's interesting, the conversations that started from people reading what was on my T-shirt. Okay, there were people that, you know, kind of yelled at me, oh, you idiot, you could idiot, or whatever, anti-vaxxer, the whole shebang. But that's a reaction, and I can handle and deal with a reaction, right? But there were other comments like, you know what, you're actually right about this. And yeah, isn't that what they keep telling us? My body, my choice. Of course, and there you are in a conversation. But don't be in the people's faces. Let them approach you. Break the silence. Speak up. And I'm really asking you, for God's sake, be a voice and not an echo. Be the voice.
You mentioned we have to fight, people have to fight. How does that look like, that fight?
Well, the fight begins with realizing what democracy is all about. And it's not about government dictating to people what they would want, right? No, it's the people. They come up with their wishes and they express their wishes. And it's not up to the government to second guess what the people want. So we need to come back to that. It's a mindset. We need to get back to what democracy is actually all about. That's what the fight is all about. And since they're not listening to the people anymore, on the contrary, the people are now being lectured to and even told, well, you are evil because you do not, you know, kind of like you don't like the WHO to hold governing powers. No, that's not what it is about. That's what the fight is all about. And a fight in democracy starts with voicing your opinion. And if that doesn't work, yes, then you take to the streets and you make yourself heard. And if the government still doesn't listen, then they get voted out of office. It's as simple as that.
And now I'd like to talk about why it is so utterly important to break that silence. You may have noticed we are on the verge of slipping in to totalitarianism. So, you may have heard of dictatorship. That's not a fine, nice way to live either. But do you know what the difference is between a dictatorship and a totalitarianism? There is a difference. And the difference is, a dictator is only concerned about staying in power. That's what he wants. He just wants to stay in power. But he doesn't care what you guys think about him. He doesn't even care how you talk about him. He simply does not care, as long as you are not effective in threatening his power position. So the dictator just wants to stay in power. Totalitarianism, on the other hand, that's a whole different ballgame. Because totalitarianism, they need to control every single aspect of every single individual's life. They need to control your beliefs, your thinking, and everything you are doing. That is scary. And that's actually what we are seeing. So that is the difference. And they are starting with that, you know, the surveillance everywhere, the tracking on social media, and all of this. So telling you, totalitarianism is the worst kind of government or state you could ever imagine. And given the technological means they have at their disposal today, it's gonna be a hell, and it's gonna be a hell that we might actually not be able to get back out of. At least once we are there, we're not talking about 40 years of GDR. We're not going to be talking about 70 years of Soviet Union. Once we have gone fully totalitarian, we are going to be talking about a very, very, very long time. You want an example? Look to China. They are already there. And this will be our future. And I'm not talking about a future in 30, 40, 50 years from now. It's happening now, ladies and gentlemen. So, we need to break the silence. And besides, look at all the madness that is going on. Let's talk briefly about the gender madness, right? So, I'm a woman, right? I don't need anyone to confirm that I'm a woman. I'm just a woman. Now, if a man thinks he is a woman, that's fine. I never problem with that. He has the right to think whatever the heck he wants. But he does not have the right to make me part of his delusion. That's wrong.
Is it important to come together, like in these theaters, with people with different state of minds?
Yes, it is absolutely important.
Is it possible in this world?
Yes, it is, and it actually is important, because when you look at how the official narrative is going and the bashing down on people that of a different mind or have different opinions, it is very important to every now and then to come together. Yeah. There is actually a saying in Germany, your homeland is where you don't have to explain yourself. And it's just a way of, refueling your batteries, because it is draining you down if you constantly being attacked for your opinion and being told you're a bad person, an evil person. So having something like that, it's really, it refuels your batteries and gives you strength, and then you can go on.
But is it even possible in this media culture to bring people together and have a debate about these kind of subjects.
I would hope so, because
Is it part of your plan?
Yeah, of course. That's what democracy is all about, right? But we are no longer, when there's arguments, it's no longer about a valid argument or an invalid argument. It's immediately good and bad. And that has no place in any democracy. Every opinion is a valuable one, right? Whether it's, you agree with it or not, but that's beside the point. Everyone needs to be able to speak their truth. Yeah. And if that's being shut down, you are no longer in a democracy.
And since we're talking about that, let me be a little provocative and actually give you an example. I was going to get to it a little later, but I might just stick it in here right now. You may have heard of the differences that there's misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, right? So the difference is misinformation is a statement that is factually not correct, but you said it because you were not really informed. So an unintentional false statement. That is misinformation. Disinformation, on the other hand, is a deliberately made a false statement. Has no factual basis whatsoever. That would be considered disinformation. Let me give you an example for disinformation. mRNA injections are safe and effective. That is disinformation. Because they knew it was neither safe nor effective. But yet they kept repeating it over and over and over again. Another example of disinformation is the following. The WHO is interested in public health. Guess what? The WHO is about as interested in public health as the arms industry is interested in world peace. Not at all. Not at all. Now let me give you an example for malinformation. Malinformation, that is the new thing, and there's already legislation, they're trying to get a handle on that. What is malinformation? Malinformation is a piece of information that is factually true, objectively a correct statement, but it's harmful. And I want to give you an example for malinformation. Women with penis are men with no balls. It's as simple as that.
This all depends on the willingness of people to come together and listen to each other. So, also on the points we disagree on. For example, the gender debate was a big part of your speech.
Women with penis are really men without balls, right?
But you're also talking about freedom, the importance of freedom.
Course.
So what's the problem?
No. Like I said, everyone has the right to feel, like whoever he thinks he or she is, right? It's none of my business. But you do not have the right to make me part of your illusion. So if I'm looking at someone, dressing up as a woman, by the way, in a rather over-sexualized way, this is like, reinforcing the stereotypes. Oh,
still freedom.
Yeah, it's still freedom, but it's also offensive. It's offensive. Just think about, blackfacing. It's now, all over the globe. It's known that is offensive. Let me finish. Yeah. If you paint your face black, this is offensive to black people. This is now, consensus all around the world. So why should I not be offended if some guy shows up in my locker room dressed up as a woman in a kinky dress, high heels and like makeup? I feel offended by that because he is living the stereotype that is not me. Yeah. He's mocking me.
But the locker room is here a big part of your points, right?
Well, it's the locker room, it's the ladies' room, it's whatever.
But we're now talking about just on the streets, an open society, because...
Well, I don't care. You know, they can run around, you know, however they like.
But that's a big difference, because that's, I think it's really important to make that point, right? If we want to come together.
Yeah, but, you know, if there is a guy dressed up as a woman, and like I said, you know, the stereotypes going on, he can do whatever he wants. Yeah. But he does not have the right to make me part of his delusion. Yeah. So if I see in him a guy, then I will call him a guy. I'm terribly sorry.
Number 9. Take away their power. Do you know why they have power over you? Because you allow them to have power over you. It's your fear. Your fear is their power. And I get it. Most people comply out of fear of what the government might do to them. When in fact, they should be way more afraid of what the government will do if you do comply. Take away the power. Simply say no. No, I won't communicate. And you know how liberating that is? If you simply say no. Go back to school. You know, we all had our share of, you know, school bullies. You know, they showed up in recess, and the first day they demanded, I don't know, you know, your 50 cents, the next day your whatever it was, a mobile phone, whatever. And as long as you give in, because you're afraid he might beat you up, right? It will continue. It will continue. But the very first time you say, no, screw you, you are not taking anything from me, you might take a beating. Yeah. But you can fight back, of course, right? But it will stop from that point on. Why? Because bullies actually don't like to fight. Because they get hurt too. And they will pick on someone else who does not put up a fight. So the governments are the bullies nowadays. Tell them, no, go screw yourselves.
What's next for you, besides these kind of speeches?
Well, I am, yeah, pretty much.
What are you going to do?
I'm trying, yeah, I will continue to do what I've been doing for pretty much, you know, all my life, speak my truth and not be put in fear, not be blackmailed or, you know, stigmatized or whatever. So I will continue to speak my truth, and hopefully more people will actually start to wake up to what's going on. And my biggest hope is that people will just refuse to be silenced and will once again find their voices, because my biggest wish actually is that my children can also grow up and continue to live in freedom, democracy, and the rule of law.
And do you know how I know that we are winning? Because they are coming up with ridiculous stuff to fight each and every one of us. And once they start fighting you, you know you have won. So thanks for fighting us. That's it's him. And once you have realized how very liberating and empowering saying no is, you might appreciate the following quote, and it's my most favorite quote, and I will never tire to repeat it over and over and over again. It's a quote by Albert Camus, and he once said, "To defy an unfree world, you have to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion." This is so brilliant, and I'm inviting you to feed the rebellion. Because all people on the web need our help. The New York needs help. And the future is ours. Thank you so much.
Waardeer je wat we doen? Schrijf je dan snel in voor onze nieuwsbrief. Vind je het belangrijk wat we doen? Besef dan goed dat wat wij doen eigenlijk helemaal niet kan. Het is een wonder. Voor 2020 was het onmogelijk geweest om zonder staatssteun, zonder subsidies of sponsoren en tegenwerking van Big Tech een mediakanaal te runnen dat tegen de stroom in op zoek gaat naar waarheidsvinding. Dat wonder, dat zijn wij samen. De grote groep bezorgde burgers die dagelijks doneren en daar zijn we ontzettend dankbaar voor. Maar we mogen niet achteroverleunen. Er wordt dan weliswaar niet meer over corona gesproken, maar de informatieoorlog was nog nooit zo hevig. En erger nog, de ideologische agenda wint terrein en is meedogenloos. We staan in het oog van de orkaan. En een platform als Blackbox heeft maar één taak: doorgaan en groeien. Groeien om nog meer mensen bewust te maken van wat er werkelijk gaande is. Daarom vraag ik jou en eigenlijk iedereen die droomt van een toekomst in vrijheid, waar stemmen weer gehoord mogen worden, om ons te steunen. Want het is keihard nodig. Juist nu.